Hello, this is Dale Matthews. It's Thursday, and I just flew in from the budget meeting, and boy, my arm's tired. Mike is here with me. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Dale. Yeah.
So not to be dramatic, but I was just at the budget meeting for 2.5 hours. Oh, wouldn't you love to be at a budget meeting? Isn't that much more interesting than
Yes.
anything else you can think of to do?
I'm glad it's you.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm still wearing my tie, and so I'll take this off, and we'll start because you see, we're casual and conversational. I'm casual. He's conversational. Hello, conversational. How are things going? Nope.
Hey.
He's all
Okay.
choked
Just
up.
inhaled a chip down the wrong pipe is the problem.
And as Cheryl Walker said in today's budget meeting, she says, every time I drive by the children and the kittens, it makes me choke up. Does she realize that the reason she needs to choke up is because we're not voting to give them more money because we don't trust them, and that she's directly responsible for us putting ourselves in danger and for children's oppression and for terrible things happening all around the county because they lie and cheat?
Yikes, man.
Well, I didn't get a chance to speak. I had to leave just before public comment.
So here's your outlet.
But it's not much of an outlet, but it is. Let me tell you.
Well, I mean, more people are going to hear you.
Yes.
The other people over there just go, oh, here's that guy again. These people actually have tuned in to hear what you have to say.
Well, another thing about this is a group of 6 people. 3 of them are commissioners and 3 from the lay community. The only thing is, how many people voted against the levy last time, Mike, which is the most important part of the budget? Are they going to get more money or not? How many people what was the percentage? Do you recall?
It was pretty darn close this last time, as I recall. It was, high 40s to low 50s.
Okay, so
I don't know. I don't keep track of the exact, but I do know that it was closer than it has been in the past, which probably is what makes them think they could get away with adding 20 cents onto the darn thing.
So let's suppose that it was 50-50. There's 6 members of this budget committee. 5 out of 6 of them are super strong levy supporters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's representation. Thanks. Representation on the budget committee.
Now,
awesome.
Of the questions asked by the budget committee, 5/6 of the questions came from Peggy Goodwin, who's the only one who's not a levyista. Really? She always had questions, and as the new people would come up to talk about their department, she said, well, I've got a couple of questions. And some of these people are just sitting there. They've got no questions. What, are you kidding me? Their job is to rubber stamp this budget, the magical budget. They're handing things to them at the last possible moment as they're sitting there. Would you like to vote on this? Could I get a chance to read it first?
Yes.
Now, what would you think would be the likelihood if they've just received it at the meeting that the finance department also posted that for the public to read so that we can ask an intelligent question if we're not going to start our TV show? Well, maybe you're not, but I was. No, there's no chance to read any of that. They don't have any chance to read it. They want them to vote on it. How are we supposed to ask any questions about it or make any comments? No, it's impossible. Goal 1, public transparency. Once again this year.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, they should have that stuff a week ahead of time so they have plenty of time to digest it.
Right. And see, if I was commissioner, this would be my rule. If you don't bring us this stuff in time to share it with the public, you may not bring it to us. You're going to have to wait till next week. Don't bring me anything that the public hasn't seen already for 24 hours. And I'd like to see it too.
Yes. Yeah, that just makes sense. And this is the way for, the in crowd to write whatever they want to and get it rubber stamped, and then they don't have to worry about their plans being interrupted.
Well, she had a lot of good questions, but most of the questions were based on stuff that I can't follow along with. I'm sitting there for you. I'm sitting there. I'm working my fingers to the bone like this for you, okay? And I can't ask a good question based on what they're handing out at that moment because I can't read it. You know, the guy about the thing about the project that, yeah, well, I know what you mean. No, how are we supposed to know what you're talking about? We can't possibly.
Yeah, they should. I would think that they should supply any public that's there to watch this whole thing take place with the information as well. Since, I mean, what's the point of public comment? What, you just going to comment on what you've heard them talk about? Yeah, I mean, if they're talking in bureaucratic ease, there, it's going to be difficult to be able to come up with a cogent question.
I had to leave just before public comment today. But you know how many people made public comment last week at the first budget meeting?
I'm guessing one.
Just
yes,
one.
That's what I thought.
This is the comedy show. Just one. Just one.
Well, apparently you'll be able to sell these tapes as cure for insomnia.
Look, I was at the executive elected officials compensation committee. Okay. I think that's important. How much money should our elected officials be paid? Okay, because they're not members of a union. Can you imagine a union of elected officials? Boy, talk about unions being hated by some people now. Wouldn't it be universal? Okay, so I'm the only person in the audience, the only one that has any questions. Well, the elected officials did. How much of a raise are we going to get? When are we going to get the cost of living increase? Oh, can we please compare with even wealthier counties? Okay, I made that story up, but you know what I mean. And so I'm the only person. So when I start to ask my question, J.J. Schofield says, I'm going to stop you right there. He's not on the board. Now, why are you going to stop me? Well, because, as he pointed out to me at the end of last week's budget committee, you lie all the time, Mr. Matthews.
Yes.
I said, can you give me an example?
Yeah.
And you know what his answer was? All the time.
Yes, right. Because that's specificity.
Right. And that's from our head of HR. So what I would have brought up with them if I could have is it is about trust. Oh, we got numbers, we got numbers, we got numbers. And so many of them now, they're all talking about the children. Everybody that got up to ask for money is talking about how their budget relates to the children. What a coincidence. It's about children.
Yeah, the SOS just kicked out a new video here today that is super mega effective children into your brain tweaking with your gray matter stuff there.
But what I would have said to them if I'd gotten a chance, and I'm going to do it next week, is it's not about the children, it's about trust. Now, look, we're a county made up of people. We're going to vote this levy down. We're actually deciding to put ourselves in a little bit of extra danger to a lot of extra danger for some people, to maybe no extra danger for some. But I mean, we're willing to take that chance that we're putting ourselves in danger. Why the heck would we do that? Why would we turn our backs on the children and the kittens and the sunshine? Why would we turn our backs on that? Because we don't trust you. And how do we know that? Well, we know that. Go ahead. You tell them how we know that.
Well, we know that because the levies have been failing ever since they started trying them. But the thing is, it's more than just we don't trust these people, so we're not going to give them the money. A lot of people don't care what it is. They've made the cost benefit analysis, and they just go, it isn't there. I don't feel unsafe. Therefore, I'm not going to give you more money for something that I don't want.
But you winning team for a whole decade, you don't understand that you're voting against the increased FRAMIS rate. Yeah, well, we know that. Yeah, but you don't understand that Flaniggles are not going to be available to every citizen. Yeah, we know that. Yeah, but you're gambling the future of widgets. Yes, we know that. Well, why would you do that? Because we don't trust you, number one. Number two is we can't afford it. And number three, we've done Mike's famous cost-benefit analysis, and we've determined that we'd rather live with the dangers of flammelstatches coming into our home and eating us alive rather than giving you more money. Now, eat that.
Yeah, we'll take our chances. That's the thing. And it's funny because I was watching. I'm a big Milton Friedman fan, so I go back and look at all of his stuff all the
You
time.
mean Uncle Milty? Wasn't he on TV in the
No,
50s?
no. You're thinking of somebody else. Anyway, and they were talking about how in a case of a place like Hong Kong, people decided, or it was just sort of decided for them, actually,
Yeah.
that hey, the laws here don't take care of you. You're going to have to take care of yourself. So that, we lessen the amount of regulation that we have, but it makes it better for you in order to do business or whatever. If you want to go live in a socialist society, you can go over there. So, but on top of that was, there was a whole list of stuff that, guess what, you're going to have to deal with yourself. And people in this county have made that decision about the public safety. They go, hey, okay, we're gonna get by with what we have. I don't feel personally threatened where I'm living, and I know many people share my opinion. Some people that live in more congested areas where they're right next door to some loser, they probably feel like crime is going out of control because this guy's always doing something over here.
Yes, they do feel that way. It is individual, and the other thing is they hear that some guy in two neighborhoods over, he had a problem, and so they feel personally threatened by the neighbor that he used to have. No, wait, we talked with a guy like that. Mike and I did, and the guy is still feeling jittery about that. Well, wait a minute, why are you still feeling jittery? Well, that was a close call. No, it wasn't. Not really. I mean, I can feel sympathy for the guy, but it wasn't a close call.
Yeah,
perception is being fueled. Okay, but this independence thing is, in my opinion, even more important. We are becoming more independent. One of the benefits of not enough money is we see the bottom of the pool, and we didn't used to see that. And now that the water is being drained out, we say, look at all these skeletons down here at the bottom of the pool. Well, don't pay attention to those. Look over here. Yeah, well, that's not working so well because there's no water. Okay, there's a drought emergency for the commissioners obscuring the truth and changing the history. And so if we take care of it ourselves.
Draw yourself a mental picture of this one, if you will.
Yes, please do. And we'll help. And then the other thing that's happening that I think is amazing is people have said to us over the years, well, now what do we do about this when Cheryl Walker decides to break the law? And we get warned, don't be doing any advocacy for a ballot measure, and then she does it. Or the commissioners they've all been told, do not talk about the budget unless you're in the budget committee, and then they do it. We have it on tape. We have all this stuff on tape, and people said, well, why don't you take that to the state? Look, the state has made it very clear. So I appreciate the fact that you're asking. We're still going to file the reports, but the state has made it crystal clear they're not interested in doing anything about us. Okay, first of all, we're a blue state. I know many of you don't like that, but we're a blue state. We're in a red part of the blue state. They would just like us to break off and die.
Yes, that's right.
They see no use in lecturing us about why we should not marry our sisters. They're not going to do it.
Oh, yes. Okay? Yeah, because we're doing that all the time down here.
That's right. Well, so I call them and I say I'm from Josephine County, and they start laughing, literally start laughing. And I said, why are you laughing? Yeah, well, Josephine County. I said, look, we're asking you for help. Well, we're not sure we're going to enforce that law. We're not sure we're going to enforce that law. See, if I had some money, what I would do is I would write up a writ of mandamus about them. What? What the heck is this guy talking about? Okay, writ of mandamus says if you don't do your job as an official in the state, then this compels you to do it, and you can be in a bunch of trouble legally and financially.
For not properly demeaning yourself.
Yeah, demeaning yourself, which he did, started to do on a daily basis. We don't have any money to do that. I mean, they know that we don't. So this is what Keithek means when he says, I know we're breaking the law. I don't care. He said it 3 times. I go to Wally Hicks. Well, I'm out of ideas. I don't have any solutions. Okay, the sheriff's not going to arrest them. The budget committee members are not going to say to their others, hey, you were talking about the budget out, so that's against state law. What are they going to do? They're just there to rubber stamp this thing. So who is it up to? Mike, you know the answer to this question, my friend.
The court of public opinion.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It's only
And I did hear through the grapevine, you probably got the same grapevine, that there is going to be an investigation into something happening here in the commissioner's office locally.
Yeah. Are we okay to share that with people?
I don't know. That's why I didn't get into greater depth.
Oh, I hate it when that happens. It's like
Yes,
talking before the show.
I think it's probably fine, but I didn't want to.
All right. Look, some people do share information with us, and they say, please don't tell everybody about this right away. And so we wait till we have another source. We have to have two sources. And so we have to have two sources. Hello, Daily Courier. You might consider that as journalists, so-called journalists. And so, speaking of so-called journalists, did you happen to get that video that everybody in the audience, did you see the video I made about how the Daily Courier, how those people act during a press conference? You can't possibly load that up now to show everybody.
No,
I didn't think so.
Well,
I was at a meeting. I couldn't say anything to you.
Yes. I might be able to get it and play it in the later part of the program.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Well, if you need me at any point to continue talking, I can make the sacrifice.
Okay. Yeah, we can.
We can what? Hello?
Oh,
Mike?
I thought you had headed off to whatever.
Okay. All right.
No, I'll let you know.
Okay. All right. So they started off the meeting. The meeting started at 4, and it finished at finished for me at 7:15. I had to go. We have a show. Okay. I wanted to be here to talk to you and share with you. So they started it off with Arthur O'Hare, the finance guy, the guy that said last week that I'm a big fat liar. And then it turned out that his facts are all wrong. I love this. I wanted to share that with them. Doggone it. So we'll show you the video and all that. So, in order to sound good for just 30 seconds, well, that's totally not true. And Simon Hare tried that. And Keith Hector, Cheryl Walker tried. They've all tried that. Okay. So as long as we're just sharing our opinions, you can't say that's totally untrue because it's just an opinion. But when we give you the facts, brother, we have our videotape, their audio tape, their documentation, eyewitnesses. We know what we're talking about, and we will put it out there. And then they always say, or 1, I don't understand what you're saying. Or 2, that's totally false. You always lie. Or 3, as Keith Eck will say, I don't think videotape is capable of recording me correctly. Right. Good job, Keith. So that really, as our credibility based on you watching the thing, and I don't mean 10 seconds on a TV station, I mean the whole thing, our credibility is going up like this. We've got more. We're not even sending out individual stories anymore. If you're on our list to receive the individual stories right away, I used to do transcripts of everything down to the last tiny words. How am I vamping going here, Mike? You're working on the background. And so, but I don't have time to do that. I mean, the last couple of weeks, we just put out a long list of stories. Here's what we covered, and it's just the titles. I can't do any more than that. I'm trying to make the titles descriptive, but it's just, it's crazy. And the number of stories have increased like nutso. And the people who are really, really interested in those who want to see about the mine, and they're coming from all over the place. It's not just that, though. It's the big pig. It's the other kind of big pig, the commissioners. It's what's happening with manor development. It's cascading in on them. And I don't know. I think Simon realizes it, but I'm not sure that the other two do, that they're drowning. This is drowning. This is typing. This is playing the piano. Okay. I'm not sure that they understand that they're drowning in public disapproval. Their reputation is right down near rock bottom while ours is rising up. And the only reason ours is rising up isn't because we don't wear ties. It's because we show you the tape and you can look for yourself and you can say, they really did say it's like Satan worship. Who would believe that? Nobody could believe that. I wouldn't believe that if I hadn't seen the tape. What kind of lunkhead thing is this to say? Well, I really meant 11 other things. No, you didn't. So speaking of 11 other things, so I'm just sitting down here. Mike has come on. He's, well, you know, where have you been? And, you know, he was nice about it. And I get his phone call. It's like 3 minutes to the beginning of the show. And it's a phone call. And I'm thinking, oh, it's Mark Seligman. He's forgotten again what time we started. And I pick it up. Hello. And it's Dave Daniel. And he said, and he had just finished 30 seconds before I left. He had just finished making a presentation to the budget committee. He said, well, I just wanted to clarify a couple of things I said. Did I say this? And I said, yeah. He said, well, I kind of really meant this. Now, let's think about this for a second. Not criticizing Dave Daniel. Why is he calling our show just before we go on the air?
I wonder.
No, really. Why is he calling our show to clarify what he really meant to say just before we go on the air? What does that tell you, my audience?
I know you're not talking to me because
you're not the audience.
Yes.
You're the participant.
Yes, it's because obviously people watch the show and he obviously said something he's feeling a little self-conscious about.
Yes.
I wonder what that is.
Well, this one was a case where he's saying this levy, okay, you can do it after 5 o'clock. I know that's weird. It didn't used to be the case, but before 5 o'clock, when the clerk's office closes, you're not allowed to promote any ballot measure that's already out in people's hands. You can't do it before 5. But after 5, when the clerk's office is closed, this is a new rule from the state.
Oh, wow.
Guess where this came from? After 5 o'clock, you can do it all that you want. And so he says this levy is not about police enforcement. It's about taxes. I still didn't quite understand exactly what he meant by that, but he felt that if he called me and said, well, what I'm trying to say is it's not about law enforcement, it's about taxes. And I really mean it's about a lot of different things. Okay, I guess what he was trying to encourage us to do is please don't go back and just play the tape. Listen to me, and I'll tell you what I really meant to say.
Well, I guess we'll find out about that, won't we? You'll have to look back over and find out what it was that he was saying.
Here I am looking back over. I don't see what he meant to say, but we're going to find out.
Yes. I have that unusable footage. Why?
Oh.
This is odd that we're using the unusable footage because it's so far I found it fairly useful.
This is only for fun. Well, why don't you front load everything with news? We just did. We just stop complaining about stuff. Okay, so no, you can complain all you want. Just complain to Mike. Call him personally. I just wanted to share this funny.
I'll put my number on the screen later.
Yes. Mine says Yad's root, but of course mine's backwards.
Yes.
Okay, so what had happened was that there was the big pig that came into town. Petunia, the big pig, and the commissioners won the Porker Award. And we've done a couple little stories because some people find that really, really amusing and interesting and cogent, and it's for the children, and I don't know, all that stuff. Kittens like it too, I guess. So we played back a couple things. And then what I did is we're the only ones that cover the media. Like when the Courier doesn't report something, we tell you about it, okay? And so I was there shooting over the shoulder. This is shooting over the shoulder. This is typing. This is playing music, okay? I was there shooting over the shoulder of the Channel 5 reporter to see what kind of questions she's asking of Jeff Kropf, who came into town towing Petunia behind him. And so we play back for you how they ask the questions, what they do. It makes them sort of uncomfortable, but hey, get used to it. That's what we do with politicians, with lying TV stations, with lying politicians. I think there's more lying from politicians than from TV stations, thank gosh. And then, of course, the Courier, which falls into a completely different category. So they can't be accused of lying, Mike, if they never tell the story. So that's their new motto. So what I did was I played that back. And then I thought, well, Mike came up with some unusable footage, stuff that just wasn't going to work for us. But why was it unusual? This is the way that the Courier staff typically acts at a press conference. Go ahead, Mike.
You know, there's a couple things. With the Sugar Pine Mine, it's been an interesting 4 weeks. we have a situation where Bureau of Land Management is not allowed due process, and they've tried to violate Fourth Amendment with illegal search and seizure. Today, this morning at 9, we held a press conference.
Hey, Tim Bullard, get out of the way!
Documents, internal documents from the BLM.
What are you doing?
An affidavit that they are actively destroying records.
It's pretty simple. Our people can't afford to pay more tax. And the other problem is that
Thanks so much, sir.
It's a measure that doesn't really specify. So the county.
Yeah, go answer your phone there, pal. What, you don't have a zoom lens?
That sheriff needs 16 deputies.
Now cue Jim Moore. Come on, Jim. Walk across in front of the camera. Thanks, Jim. Have a nice day. Really, a word comes to mind, but we just should not repeat it on the show. What? This happens all the time. This is just one example.
Yeah, I don't understand being that, I mean, I'm standing there with a camera. Is your camera the only relevant camera in the neighborhood here?
Yes.
And I wasn't the only one. And you'll notice in the beginning of that first one, I'm on there, and then the guy starts stepping in. So I try to kind of move frame over a little bit and it didn't work. He just kept walking into it. I thought, wow.
And get somebody to iron your shirts for you, would you?
Yes.
To that guy, yeah, really. I just sleeping in your clothes all night.
That's just amazing to me that you would do something like that. And listen, I can understand, a novice doing something like that, but somebody who's supposed to be a pro, I mean, this is what they go to every day. They're showing up in places where other people have cameras. What's the deal?
They ended up with a one-paragraph story about this. Okay, so I go to this tearing down the hoopla that they put up. Go ahead.
Did they put a picture in?
Yes.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah, so at least you got that going for you. Okay, so I go to the press conference where they wouldn't answer any questions. It's great. No, I did ask the guy one question. I said, this was about tearing down of the Demick Tower. And I said to the guy, you've talked a lot about the recycling of the materials. Yes, as a matter of fact, it was 250,000 tons of metals. That's a bunch of metal.
Was that really 200? Yeah. No,
I'm going to get the videotape for you. I'm almost certain it could have been 300,000.
I could see all told, but that's a lot of steel.
It's a lot of metal, and he said, and we recycled every bit of it, which brings to mind a question. Now, wait just a second, there, bud. Who gets the money from that?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, if you take a car, an old car, in many cases, now you can take a car to the steel mill and get more for it than you would selling it to somebody as a car.
And, I think I meant pounds, something like 3,000 tons and 300,000 or whatever it would be.
Yeah, 300,000. I mean, that'd be like
it's not a battleship. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, right.
But the point is, it's a bunch. Okay, it's a bunch. Okay, we're very specific in the show. It was a bunch. Okay, so I asked the guy the question. Well, the guy next to him, one of the prime contractor guys, was beside himself to stop this line of questioning. Really? Now,
yes, because he could see where you were going.
And I said, well, and I pointed it at him and I said, would you like to say more? And I'm not going to say anything on camera at a press conference. He just spoke on camera. And now he doesn't want to speak on camera because, once again, I'm asking him a question and he was so hateful. This is like the commissioners. You ask him a question like, why do you say it's not costing us any money at all for the project out at the Ivy Airport when it's costing us money? Oh, hey, I'm not going to answer that question because obviously you don't. Hey, it's just a really simple question. Cheryl Walker, when you said that Sandy Casanelli gave a grant to somebody who were friends, where did you get the information that these were her friends? Because, see, they weren't her friends. It sounds good. It sounds awful. Oh, no, her friends. And that's so I said, where'd you get the information? Well, you're asking a question and you're going all over the. No. I asked it very, very simply. It was just a few words. Where did you get the information that these were friends? Where did you get the information? And I kept repeating it. She answered about her children and about their patriotism and about children in general and why we should. Children? What are children in the story? Just where'd you get the information that these were her friends? Absolutely no possibility of answer. So this guy didn't want to answer it anyway. But the reason I went there is I went early to set up the camera and get a good vantage point. I don't mean on top of them because that's too close, but you set up and get a good vantage point. So if there's someone else who comes after you do when you're there half an hour early in the rain, then they're going to have to set up on the right or left of you. Okay, makes for maybe even a better angle than straight on, because this is straight on. This is an angle. See how much more dramatic this is? Straight on.
Yes.
Angle. Just in case. Okay, Mike uses the angle thing all the time. That's his angle on the news.
That's it.
And so I yeah, good job, Mike. And so I'm there. So the guy from the Courier shows up, and he sets up not just right in front of me, but like 2 feet in front of me, right directly in front of me. If he took one step back, he'd be in my lap.
Yeah.
And I said, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Well, this is the best camera point of view." And I said, "I know. That's why I was here half an hour early."
Yes.
Nice.
So did he move?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was rather insistent and people were starting to look.
Yeah, I probably should have clocked the guy in the back of the head with something.
That's what they accuse us of doing verbally. You're asking questions. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean that was really rude, and I just thought, well, okay, and really had I guess in the attempt to try to save whatever was salvageable, I wasn't going to yell at the guy while I'm taping it, but it was really should have, because I mean, I'll talk to him. I mean, the next time that I'm at a situation, I'm going to say, "You stay over there. I'll stay right here." And then if you have to walk around behind me.
Why do you have to tell
Or
him this?
something.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
you
the other
shouldn't
thing
have.
that made some of this footage unusable is John Chambers. John, what are you doing? Well, boo, you're terrible. John, don't say that. First of all, he thinks he's joking, but it's ruining the video. Why are you saying that? This is like Ward Ockenden. I'll be trying to videotape something. You never want to tape it near Ward Ockenden, because he'll walk up and he'll say some scatological reference, and you go, "I can't keep that on my tape." And he's got this big grin on his face.
Was that who was talking there, John Chambers? Because I
Yeah.
didn't hear that. Yeah. All right.
Look, don't be an idiot. Not that he's an idiot, but please don't be one. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So before 5 o'clock, Arthur O'Hare, the finance director, the one that lied about us, Arthur O'Hare starts on his topic was, looking at my notes, his topic, because we won't get a chance to talk about much else, dedicated funds. Dedicated funds? Well, yes, dedicated funds, of course. And he says, "Now, I just want to make sure everybody understands what dedicated funds are." And guess what example he uses about dedicated funds? Remember, it's before the time that it's okay. You cannot speak about the levy during this time and advocate for it. So you tell me how close he's come. He might actually get by with this in the court of public opinion. That's certainly possible. You be the judge. He says, "Well, I just want to make sure that everybody realizes that that if you vote for this levy, okay, if you do, that all of that money is required by law as dedicated funds to go into the sheriff's department and only into the sheriff's department, and nothing can be taken out of it, and it's only for the sheriff, and therefore that is a good example of what is a dedicated fund." This is very controversial. A lot of people are talking about it. You think?
And
So, Mike, please explain.
pretty
why that
thinly
is.
veiled.
Yeah, please explain, if you will, sir, why that is
Well, was it
simply
was
not
it
true.
was it after 5 o'clock?
No, it was before 5.
Oh, okay.
Okay, leaving aside the legality,
Well,
why is it a bunch of baloney?
I guess he shouldn't. Oh, well, because we know that the ISF gets sucked out of it right off the get-go.
Right.
and that's 10% of the total.
But
So,
Mike,
that's
take,
one part.
They take out 10%, and then inexplicably they put it all back in. So there's a reason to take it out, so they can put it back in. What?
Yes.
And even though the commissioners
That
have been caught
doesn't
by us talking about the additional about the memberships that they're going to get and the travel that Simon's going to do and how this is going to benefit them and it's good for the community because of the ISF, even though we've caught them on tape talking about that. And Simon complained that we really do need to keep up with the other counties because they might look at us like, well, they're not shouldering their responsibilities. And he doesn't want to have to explain to them that the citizens don't want the commissioners to have the money. So we have to take that money that could be going back into another deputy, looking out for the children that we're supposed to be caring about. No. Are you kidding me? That's going to go into the hands of the commissioners. They need that money. And that's where most of their ISF comes from, my friend. It comes from the money siphoned off from the sheriff's department. Woohoo.
Mm-hmm. I see.
That's our analysis.
Yes. Yes. Well, I didn't know that was a query there.
That's your analysis period. As I'm going across the room here, you'll get a chance to do analysis. But once I've passed you, as Keith X says, then you can no longer do analysis. I'm pointing over here, so your time is over.
I will sit down. I heard the buzzer go off, so I'm done now, I guess.
Brother. Okay, so they're still saying that it all goes, it's required by law to go back into the sheriff's budget. You know, stop lying to us. Just say, look, we siphon off 10% and we give it to Simon so he can go on lots of trips that are doing us no good at all. He comes back and says, well, that trip didn't do us any good at all. So why are we doing this?
I'm surprised that they would say that in a budget committee hearing where you're supposed. I mean, if they're talking the straight information about the budget anywhere, it should be at the budget committee. You would think.
This goes to the video that we're going to play for you, not now, but at a future show. So you're sitting there in a budget. Okay, first, you're sitting there in church and the pastor says, I'm going to show you a video. And it's a commercial for the levy, right? Oh, that's nice. In church. Okay, so you're sitting there at the budget committee and Lisa Shipley walks in. I'm going to tell you about my department. And she starts to play this long video where they mention her name, Lisa Shipley, over and over and over and over again. And it's got patriotic music playing in the background. At a budget committee meeting? Why? And we know the reason she made that video. Why did she make that video, Mike?
Because she wanted a raise, I'm guessing.
2-year-old video. And it came immediately after she was telling veterans and the previous levy that if they didn't vote for the levy, that they'd be putting their veterans benefits in danger.
So it's a CYA video.
It mentions her over and over and over and over. Imagine how upset you would be if the sheriff came up with a video that he played back for any kind of meeting, but especially a meeting of the budget committee. The sheriff now, he would not do this. And it's a video of citizens standing in front of his office saying, that Dave Daniel, what a great guy. Why, I wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for Dave Daniel. Dave. And then the patriotic music comes in the background. Da, 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 da. Oh, it's Dave. Would you tolerate that? Why are we tolerating this from any person? He's elected. At least he's elected. She's just a person that should have been fired for screwing over the old people. Her public outreach was to go to veterans, not veterans. She was going to retirement homes to warn these poor old dears who are shaky about their money in the first place that if they don't vote for the levy, that maybe they're not going to get their benefits. And she was rewarded by
Yeah, one really should wonder what she's been up to this election cycle.
That's right. That's right. So Arthur O'Hare started it off with talking about dedicated funds. And in case any of you wonder, don't be thinking about that 10%. Don't be thinking about how that's going to be spent. Don't be thinking about the fact that you are not happy with the transparency and the honesty of the commissioners. Absolutely don't think that they're breaking state budget law on Tuesday. Don't be thinking that Cheryl Walker is breaking the public meetings law on Wednesday. And don't be thinking that Arthur O'Hare is talking about the value of voting for a levy. Okay, I told you how he said it. On a Thursday during that same time, don't be thinking about how they're liars and cheaters. And he lied when he said that I didn't have any right to ask any questions at that executive elected officials compensation committee. It's on the agenda. It's always been on the agenda. And I did ask my question. So do you have faith in the budget officer that tells you, because it sounds good. I sound like an idiot. Why, that Dale Matthews, how in the world, what is he talking about that he could asking a question? He's not even allowed to ask a question because our budget officer in charge of the budget hearing, he just said that he's not allowed to ask any questions. And when I walked away and I said to him, that's not true. J.J. Schofield said, you lie all the time, Mr. Matthews. There's the esteem in which we are held by our elected officials. Thanks for watching our show. Next time, we'll be even funnier.